We will begin with the Fall Classic. What a Game 7 it was. They're playing to win, baby. There's a lot of wealthy billionaire owners out there in the world of pro sports. What an outstanding ending it was, and a World Series that took me back to the first World Series I ever watched, 1978. 9 of the 12 NFL games yesterday ended as a one-score game, and the most exciting of those, and certainly good news here in Chicago. Oh yeah, the other thing that happened that nobody expected. We will begin with the Fall Classic, where the Los Angeles Dodgers became the first National League team to repeat as World Series champions since the Big Red Machine all the way back in 1975 and 1976. And what a Game 7 it was. What a series it was. The 18-inning affair in LA, one of the greatest World Series games that I've ever seen, especially so in this era we live in now where we don't see real extra innings anymore. We got a real throwback, and there is the GOAT, greatest player of all time, holding up the World Series trophy 2 in a row for the LA Dodgers. And I know there are some people that are going to hate on him because of the payroll. They are the evil empire. Now, maybe the baton was passed from George Steinbrenner to the LA Dodgers. There's a lot of people that feel like they bought it and with that roster. But you know what? They're playing to win, baby. There's a lot of wealthy billionaire owners out there in the world of pro sports that aren't that interested in winning. And many of you are nodding your head right now in agreement because I might be talking about one of your favorite teams right now. Baseball is pretty fucking good, ain't it? NFL, yeah, NFL is the biggest thing in America. There's no denying it. But baseball is still awfully fucking good. And we were reminded of that many times over the course of a pretty thrilling World Series. The Toronto Blue Jays, tough bastards right there to take down. That is an underrated team. It took a hell of a team just to take the Dodgers to the brink. Miguel Rojas, of all people, the hero, a little bit of a Bucky Dent type vibe, a guy with 57 career home runs in a 12-year career, goes up there, takes one out in the 9th inning to tie it, then makes a fine defensive play to save the game in the bottom of that same inning before the Dodgers go on. As Will Smith, Ronnie, what did Will Smith say, do you suppose, when he hit the go-ahead home run?
Keep your wife's mouth out of my, keep your wife's name out of my mouth.
Whoa,
out of your mouth. Something like that.
keep your wife's mouth away from my phallus. That's an entirely different scenario right there, quite frankly. All right, well, not only was Game 7 incredible, disappointing, obviously, for the fans in Toronto, except for two that I can think of. Because a father and son, Ron, this is crazy. A father and son caught Rojas's game-tying home run in the 9th inning, and then Will Smith's subsequent extra inning home run that ultimately was the game winner. They say that $2.5 million seems fair for those two balls. John Baines is the name of the guy there, the older gentleman on the left. He caught the Rojas homer, and then his son Matthew, not long thereafter, collected the Will Smith home run. And this Baines dude, the older guy, the dad, he also caught a home run off the bat of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in Game 1 of the American League Division Series against the Yankees, and then caught a home run off of Ernie Clement's bat in Game 2 of the ALDS.
Oh, there's a fix. The fix is in.
If they got a horseshoe up their ass?
Yeah, there's a fix.
Chauncey Billups involved in this?
X-ray
machines.
What was the
over-under on how many balls these guys were walking out of there with? And they threw the ball back, Ron, as you would know if you were an American, but having grown up in Soviet Russia, I should tell you that there's a tradition of throwing back the ball if you catch it and it's a road team homer. So some people who want to actually keep their souvenir go to the game with a old baseball, maybe a dirty old baseball from the Little League team that their son plays on or whatever, and then they throw that one back.
Or
so
you could just not succumb to
cheer.
peer pressure.
See, that's another one, Ron. I agree with you. Life lesson there from Uncle Ronnie. You don't have to just do things because people tell you to. That's advice that I like to follow, Ron. But what an outstanding ending it was. And forgive me if I get a little bit romantic as I think about a World Series that took me back to the first World Series I ever watched, 1978, when I fell in love with baseball. There have been times in my life that I have drifted, sometimes for years at a time, where baseball has really only been background noise in my life. There have been other times that I have been locked in, following every box score every day. But once it's in your blood, it's with you for life. And I was reminded of that watching this World Series. So goodbye, baseball. Let's do it again next year. What we have to do in the interim is going to be a lot of NFL football, college football, which the king of American sports just scooted baseball off to the side, and now there's really no competition for our eyeballs other than the NHL and the 6 of us that still watch the NBA. 9 of the 12 NFL games yesterday ended as a one-score game, and the most exciting of those, and certainly good news here in Chicago, the Bears defeat the Bengals 47-42, despite Joe Flacco, 40-year-old Joe Flacco, who I called the gunslinger on this program, the hired gun, the guy who comes into Dodge City because a job has to be done, and he's a professional, proves it again. 470 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. He now has 9 touchdown passes in his 3 games as a Bengal. Joe Flacco, I think people maybe finally at age 40, some people are starting to realize that if not a Hall of Famer, this guy is in the tier right below that. He's a hell of a player. And the Bengals just can't get anything done. And frustration now is obviously boiling over. This is a team that scored 38 points last week against the New York Jets, only to lose 39-38. This week they put up 42 to lose 47-42, and Chase Brown was not happy about it and was brutally honest in addressing the media after the game.
We just got to play complimentary football. Like, we put the ball in the end zone and go up a point at the end, finish the fucking game. Like, just end it. Like, that's it. Like, that's what we need to do. Just end the fucking game. Like, make them get us the ball back. Let us fucking go to 22 victory and let's end the game. That's how I feel.
First of all, no lies detected. However you feel about whether or not that should have been said publicly, I didn't hear anything that wasn't true. At a certain point, you got to get a stop. This is a team that has scored 80 points over the last 2 weeks and has no wins to show for it. The week before that, they beat the Steelers 33-31. So, I mean, they're working overtime just to get a win. A team that has scored, I mean, what? Do the math. What is that? Like 113 points or something over their last 3 games? Ron, get out your calculator. What's 33, 38, and 42? Because you should be better than 1 and 2 if you're putting up that kind of total every week. And Jamar Chase was among those who were visibly frustrated. Cameras caught him saying one stop as he was walking down the tunnel after another day at the office where the Cincinnati Bengals have showed up and have scored enough points to win, only to have another frustrating loss. Got to be tough on the offense. Now, the Bengals defense, how bad is the Bengals defense? Well, I'm glad you asked, because through 9 weeks of the season, Ronnie, they have given up 300 points. 300 points. And they are barely past the halfway mark. They got 8 games left to go. The all-time worst defense in NFL history by points allowed. And obviously this is going to skew toward longer seasons. And now with the 17-game season, you might not be surprised to know that it's a recent team. It's actually last year's Carolina Panthers. 534 points allowed. If the Bengals stay on their current pace, they will allow 566 points, which would be the worst of all time with a little cushion over the Panthers. In other action yesterday, the NFC North gets more and more interesting to me. The Vikings go in and beat the Lions. I actually had the Lions. That was one of my picks this week in the season-long contest that we're doing. I was comfortable laying 8.5 against the Minnesota Vikings. Not so fast. They go to Detroit, but with J.J. McCarthy, they win that game. The Bears win again and are now 5-3. And, oh yeah, the other thing that happened that nobody expected, the Carolina Panthers, as 13.5-point underdogs, went to Green Bay and beat the Packers. So how about that for intrigue in the NFC North? We might be at a point now where I think any of the four teams have a chance at winning that division. Maybe not the Vikings, but then again, maybe not the Bears. But I thought that the Packers and the Lions were going to separate from the Vikings and the Bears a little bit, and instead it went the other way. In other news, Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills take down the Kansas City Chiefs, their nemesis. But it's just a regular season game if you want the, too harsh reality guy to come in here. And I say that as a guy who is wearing the Bills Mafia colors here, by the way. Shout out to the guy on YouTube who requested that I wear a Bills jersey. Here we are, BT 1919, day 2 of me as a Bills fan my entire life, 43 years asking Ricky to bust out any Bills jersey from 1990 to 1993. Well, BT 1919, do you remember number 12? Because I certainly do. Underrated. The only quarterback in the history of the National Football League to come out of the American Football Conference 4 times in a row when he did it. How many did Mahomes go to in a row, guys? He was the guy who finally broke that record, is he not? How many did they go to in a row, Super Bowls? 3. See, there you go. There's still the fucking record. 4 in a row. Only quarterback in the history of the NFL to go to 4 consecutive Super Bowls. And honestly, I'm a Bills guy. Some of the best fans in the entire country. Shout out to the Bills Trip Mafia, if any of them happen to be watching the program. And shout out to you, BT 1919. I can do that for you. This episode of the Ricky Cobb Show is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. That's the best kind of right decision. So why don't you make a choice not to miss any of the excitement the rest of this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. And as always, I will extol the virtues of the max discount. You're going to have some opportunities when you go into Prize Picks. They're going to give you an easy one, such as the last one that I took advantage of, which was Steph Curry to have over half a point, which I don't know how much NBA you still watch, but he's safely over that threshold all of the time. I don't know if I would ever take the over on Terry Rozier. I won't say more to that, but he's not in the league anymore, so you don't have to worry about that. We're only doing it on the up and up on Prize Picks. So my friends, download the app today. Use my code Ricky, that's RICKY, and you're going to get $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. Simple as that. Use my code Ricky, and when you play a $5 lineup, you're going to get $50 in lineups on the house at Prize Picks, where it is good to be right. And there is very little that I can say that is not right about Cam Little of the Jacksonville Jaguars, who broke an NFL record that was 4 years old. When I grew up, Tom Dempsey was the standard, and that remained the standard. He kicked that 63-yard field goal in New Orleans with that 3-wood that he called a foot back in November of 1970. I was born in 71, and that 63-yard record stood until I was well into my 30s. Okay? In fact, it stood until I was 42 years old. All right? That is the rate at which place kicking was improving and evolving when I was growing up. It was the same record of 63 yards for over 40 years. Well, things have escalated just a little bit, and the latest in the evolution, and I'm not even going to say, this sounds like a record that should stand forever. And then on the other hand, it might get broken next week. Such is the state of kicking
tonight
in the NFL. But Cam Little, yeah, that's right. It might not even last through today because Aubrey is, probably an even better kicker. But Little with a 68-yarder to close out the first half in the Jaguars-Raiders game. There have now been 7 60-plus yard field goals this year in the NFL, says ESPN Insights. That is the most in NFL history. I mean, shit, there weren't any 60-yarders hardly ever when I was growing up. If somebody kicked a 59-yarder, it felt like Neil Armstrong walking on the moon. Am I saying anything that's not true, Ron?
Nope.
Not at all. You had to be there, youngins. But this guy, I will say, this guy right here, he had more range than Daniel Day-Lewis. Making 70-yarders since the 70s. Not impressed. It's going to take more than 68 to get there. The previous record was set by Justin, allegedly a bad massage customer, Tucker, in September of 2021. Brandon Aubrey, who kicks tonight, as Ronnie points out, 65-yarder in 24. Chase McLaughlin, a 65-yarder earlier this year. Matt Prater, a 64-yarder in 2013. That's the one that broke the record of Tom Dempsey. And Brandon Aubrey also with a 64-yarder earlier this year. So we'll see how long that lasts. But I'll tell you what, shout out to the kickers of my youth, because this is how I remember it. Take a look at this sweet bastard, will you? Anybody else remember Tony Frisch of the Houston Oilers? Nothing in American life has improved more in the last 40 years than place kicking. Just gaze upon this glorious bastard. I want you to take a real good look at him. He looks like a Hanna-Barbera character who got cut from the Laugh Olympics roster, and yet at the same time, he was the best kicking specimen the whole AFC had to offer. That was it. He was that guy was the best kicker. Doesn't even look like a real person. He looks like a living cartoon, Ron. And yet he was just going out there and making 42-yarders, and everybody looked around and they were like, well, he's kicked several 42-yarders. I guess he's the best kicker we've got in this conference. Do you remember when 50-yard field goals were like a big deal? Does anybody remember that? I mean, 50 yards used to be a hell of a thing. Somebody would kick a 50-yarder, you'd be jumping up and down. Oh my God, he did it. Boy, it's like 50-yarders are like extra points now for a lot of these guys. Ronnie, let me now officially welcome you to this program. He is the international streaming star joining me from Nashville, Tennessee. He is Ronnie T-shirts. And Ronnie, I want to go back to this baseball story. The guy who caught the Rojas homer and the 2 home runs in the American League Division Series, and then his son, so he's got 3 that he's bagged like in no time. Then his son, on the other hand, gets the game winner. His name is John Baines, which sounds like a Keanu Reeves
I was just going to say
from a movie.
Yes. Yep.
But he moved here from India in 1975. Do you think his name was John Baines when he immigrated to Canada?
I think there's a pretty good chance that it wasn't. I'm not gonna try to guess what it was, but I'm guessing it wasn't John Baines.
Sure, I was just going to give you unlimited guesses.
Nope.
And that was going to be a segment.
You're not getting me
standalone
canceled.
segment.
You're not getting me
Ron
canceled.
tries to guess things hypothetically that may or may not even be true. Ron, what is your takeaway? I mean, you've got Ohio roots. I know you're not a Bengals fan, but I mean, Archie Griffin, and there is a connection, I'm sure, an affection that you have for that franchise compared to, a random team that I can name. What do you make of this situation? They bring in Joe Flacco, and Joe Flacco has been as advertised and better. Yep. They just needed somebody that was going to be better than Jake Browning, who was DOA. And then not only has Flacco given them that, he's been playing at a Pro Bowl level over the course of the 3 games that he's been there. They only have 1 win to show for it. What do you think when you see Chase Brown being so publicly frustrated?
I'm not sure. Did you watch the game? Did you see any of the highlights? Did you see the highlights of the last play, the touchdown for Chicago?
Of course, Ron.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure because I get in trouble for asking you questions that I don't know if you know the answer to. So I was just trying to tread lightly there. So here's the problem, Ricky.
Felt passive aggressive, Ron. Felt just a little PA.
Listen, you've beaten me down so much, like I'm super sensitive to this now, and I don't want to get chastised on the show. So,
I love you, Ron. I love you. All good.
Here's a problem, and to me, it's a coaching problem. Has anybody ever taught anybody on the Bengals defense how to properly tackle the person with the ball? These guys go in trying to. They're not trying to tackle. They're trying to shoulder them, like knock them over with their shoulder. Like it was egregious on that last play. That the tight end Colton Loveland, is that how his last name? He caught the ball.
Ron, stop asking me questions. You've exhausted your quota of questions. You'll be ejected.
The defensive back basically launched himself into him with his shoulder, and he just bounced off of it and took off for it. All you had to do was wrap him up. It's not very difficult, Ricky. And I actually saw somebody, this is a problem with Bengals fans because somebody in the stands had, how they open up The Simpsons where it's got Bart writing lines of what he was being punished with, I will not do something. And it said something along the lines of, I will learn how to tackle properly. I will learn how to tackle properly. So I think that I don't necessarily think it's a scheme problem. I don't necessarily think it's a personnel problem. I think it's they don't know how to tackle. Like it's
how do you get to the NFL and not know how to tackle? Ron?
It's like the defensive version.
Big programs.
It's the defensive version of dropping the ball before you go over the goal line. Like, it's like, I think they think it looks cooler to jack somebody up with their shoulder. Like, it's the only excuse I can think of.
Well, Ronnie, I'll tell you this. We're about to jack up this entire country because it's time for America's Poll of the Day. And let's go to it now. Super 70 Sports on X, where the Eagle flies higher than the amount of points scored by an offense facing the Cincinnati Bengals defense. That's a hell of a lot of points. We do know that. And on this Monday, our first set of 4 candidates hoping to advance to Championship Friday, where they'll have a chance to move on to the second ever Why Not tournament. We will begin today with onion rings. Always tasty, never tastier than when there's only one that just randomly has migrated to your French fries. Am I right, guys? Secondly, we have the Duran Duran classic, Hungry Like the Wolf. Third, Dustin Hoffman, the Rain Man himself. And finally, Poodles, nature's curliest dog. And with that being said, Ron, I hand it over to you. Break it down for me as only you can.
Well, this was an easy choice for me, and I'm sure you know which one I picked. I'm definitely going onion rings. I'll take onion rings even if they're the minced onions that are formed into a perfect ring. I'll take those, but the best onion rings are the ones that are actual true ring of an onion and then dipped in some amazing beer batter and then fried to just perfect golden brown. We'll go with those onion rings.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Lord.
they come to your table. They come to
Yes.
your table on the pole. They're on the pole, and so they're like stacked up high. You got to take them off the pole and eat them that way. That's the best.
How do they come to the table, Ron? Could you show me how they come to the table again? In slow motion. Could you do it in slow motion this time? How they come to the table? What's at the table? What kind of establishment are you in again?
You gonna turn that into
Ron,
a GIF?
Is this
into
Robert
a GIF?
Kraft's Steakhouse?
Turn that into a GIF, and I can use that instead of that Texas Tech bell ringer that I always put underneath your tweets.
Don't worry, Jared is already on it as we speak. No doubt, I have faith in that.
Hungry like the wolf.
Yes.
Yeah, good song. I'll never choose to listen to it, but when it comes on, I'm glad I'm listening to it.
Rex Crumb just recoiled in anger. Yeah, he wants to punch you right now.
I've seen one Dustin Hoffman movie that I can remember and you just said it, so I don't. I don't know. Dustin Hoffman, sure. Poodles? What
you never saw The Graduate? You never saw Kramer versus Kramer? All the President's Men? Marathon Man?
No.
Nothing?
Keep going.
Nope.
Keep going. No.
Okay. All right.
I mean,
I'll stand down. I mean, he's Dustin. He's like one of the handful of like most famous actors of his entire generation. How have you missed him? Dustin Hoffman's so famous, his movies come and knock on your door and find you. You know what I mean?
Rain Man, that's it,
if
buddy.
You consciously avoid it, you just don't have an opinion on him. All right. Okay.
What the hell made you choose poodles? Like, of all the dog breeds you could have chosen, you chose poodles? Like, I guess they're a great dog.
Dogs are so popular.
If you want to mix it.
Dogs are so popular, I had to pick a shitty dog in order to like try to balance the whole.
There's the explanation. I mean, if you want to base picking poodles off of what it can be bred with to make a cooler dog, then we could do that. But poodles,
I picked an oily, annoying dog, and I did it deliberately because I still think people are going to vote for poodles. Dog is so powerful. Only way that it could be like fair was to take a dog that's just terrible.
Well, you did it.
All right, thank you. All right, is it my turn? Look, I love onion rings. They vary a lot. Right? Depending on where you're at, they're going to vary in quality. But again, imagine your best version of an onion ring, and that's what we're going to go with. Hungry Like the Wolf is maybe Duran Duran's best song. Certainly it's right up there. Video's great. Dustin Hoffman I've seen more than one of his movies. I like Dustin Hoffman. Good actor, obviously. And then poodles are just detestable. One of God's mistakes, quite frankly. So I'm going to go with ba-dump. Fuck it. Hungry Like the Wolf. Let's light that candle. See what happens here. I have no idea today, although food is always popular. So I guess I predict onion rings.
Oh, God.
And look at poodles. It's the lowest anything's ever gotten. Everybody's with me. Well, 59% for onion rings and poodles. That's the worst that anything's ever done. History being made today.
Pete, I'm not too far off on Dustin Hoffman, am I?
Well, onion rings and Hungry Like the Wolf are a formidable duo. Ronnie, we are going to take it into a break right now. And when we come back, we've still got a lot of good things lingering out ahead. I'll be asking Ronnie the question I love to ask him. And the great Armando Salguero is going to join me right after this to get us caught up on all things NFL as we get set to wrap up Week 9 tonight on Monday night. So don't you go anywhere. It'll all happen straight ahead right here, right after this on The Ricky Cobb Show. And welcome back to the program, my friends. And we just concluded a very competitive week of NFL football. Just a week after a weekend that was nothing but competitive. And here to help us set things straight, as we only have one game left on the Week 9 agenda, is Outkick's own senior NFL writer, the great Armando Salguero. Armando, how's it going, man?
I'm doing great, Rick. All is well, my friend. I'm doing better than the Cincinnati Bengals defense. How's that?
Oh, well, that's good news, because I would suggest that you immediately head to an urgent care if you're not. Look, I mean, we've seen it. 80 points the Bengals have produced the last 2 weeks. They don't have a win to show for it. Some frustrations boiling over. We saw cameras catch Jamar Chase a bit frustrated, although when he met with the media, he elected to take the high road. Chase Brown, certainly very pointed in saying that they've got to get some stops. What do you think of the situation there in Cincinnati? Obviously, Joe Flacco's getting it done. Are they going to be able to put a Band-Aid on this, or do they need a lot more than a Band-Aid at this point defensively?
No, a Band-Aid for a bleeding ulcer of a wound is not what the doctor ordered. That thing is, that needs a MASH unit, and there's not one available at this point. And what I mean by that is, so yesterday they gave up 576 yards. That's a lot. And they didn't have Trey Hendrickson in the game because he's hurt. And so now today, as we near the NFL trade deadline, the Bengals are having internal discussions about, well, are we one guy away, Trey Hendrickson, from being a good defense? And clearly they are not. They are a team that is, 2, 3, 4 guys away. Al Golden, the defensive coordinator, is a mess. It's not working. And meanwhile, Lou Anarumo, who was the defensive coordinator last year and took the hit for not having a good defense last year, his defense is good in Indianapolis. So it's just a terrible, terrible mess there. They might be selling at the end of the season. It might look like Zach Taylor might be in trouble.
On the flip side of this equation, I got to talk about my Chicago Bears a little bit, Armando. 5-3 right now after an 0-2 start. They're sitting right there even with the Lions and a half game behind the Packers, which sounds like we're talking about the pennant race here. What are we to conclude about the Chicago Bears at this point? And what are we to think about what I've said and thought, at least up until this point, might be the best division in football, the NFC North, in terms of top to bottom? How's that race shaping up, and how in the mix are the Bears at this point?
Well, you notice that no one is asking about whether Caleb Williams is a capable quarterback or a bust anymore. Notice that those questions have gone by the wayside. So they're going to be fine at the most important position in the NFL. I'm not saying that this guy is going to be, an MVP candidate or a Super Bowl quarterback. I am saying that he's not the problem and hasn't been the problem this year. Last year, that was the question. That was the only question. Did we blow it with Caleb Williams instead of Jaden Daniels? And so that has been answered. Caleb Williams, you give him some good coaching, he's going to be fine. And the good coaching is coming from Ben Johnson, who has brought his, his Philly special plays and his flea flickers and his special gadgets and his, more important than anything, his devotion and motivation and culture to the Bears on offense and defense. And I like what they're doing. You can't argue with the success that they're having. The turnaround is fully underway.
All right, Armando, you mentioned Jaden Daniels, and of course, last year we heard Caleb Williams compared to Jaden Daniels, and he wasn't on the favorable end of those comparisons. Just a gruesome elbow injury, left arm injury that we saw this weekend. One of those that, turns your stomach and, almost, I'm sure for many people, it brought back shades of Joe Theismann, even though they're very different injuries. What do we know about his status and a second season that, quite frankly, has gone about as poorly as I suppose it could have for Jaden Daniels right now?
Right. So it looked really grim at the end of the evening last night, because obviously we all saw Jaden Daniels' left elbow bend in a direction that it was never designed by God to bend. Right. And so that is just one of those don't watch it if you can avoid it moments on television and live television. Today I spoke with a couple of sources, and I spoke with Dr. David Chow, who is the pro football doc on Twitter and Outkick's resident medical guru, a 17-year lead physician for the San Diego Chargers. And he's telling me that Jaden Daniels is going to be fine. As long as there was not a fracture, and the reporting is there is not a fracture, he probably won't require surgery. That's good. There is a history of, because it's the left elbow and he doesn't throw with the left elbow, there's history of quarterbacks, including Ben Roethlisberger and Matt Stafford and Derek Carr, who recovered from this exact type of injury with ligament damage and played 2 weeks later. So I'm thinking that it's a lot better than what it looked for Jaden Daniels. Now, obviously, the other question is, why was he even in the game to begin with? They were down 31 points, I believe, with 7-8 minutes to play. And everybody's thinking, what? You're not making this dividend up here. It's the deficit is the deficit. You are losing tonight. Why is your star quarterback, who is shaped like a stick, in the game running the football? And last night, Dan Quinn, the head coach, was a little defensive about it, saying that the play was not meant for him to run, that 50 out of 50 times it's either a handoff or a pass, not a scramble. And today he changed his tune, walked it back, and said, you know what? That's 100% on me. He shouldn't have been in the game.
Yeah, that's right. In an era where teams are so risk averse in sports in general, it does seem like we see starting quarterbacks stay in games that are clearly not winnable anymore. Do you think that this might be the cautionary tale that causes some other teams to maybe look at being a little more proactive with taking their guy out if it's not a game that is in question?
I would hope that this is a cautionary tale on that. I cannot tell you. I've lost count of how many times I've asked the question, why is so-and-so in the game when you're down 21 with 3 minutes to play? And the answer from an NFL coach has been, because he's a football player and he plays football. And in a press conference, even in a one-on-one, that answer is wrong, but they get away with it because nothing happened. Here we have the moment where something did happen, and now maybe, just maybe, coaches around the league will be a little bit more conscientious about the possibilities. They don't deal typically in possibilities. They play, and if there's an injury, there was an injury, and now that's bad luck. But typically, they don't think about the possibility of injuries. One more thing. I don't think it should be dismissed that a lot of times these coaches that make these decisions to keep the players in, especially on offense, are defensive coaches. Bill Belichick, a defensive coach. You would see Tom Brady, the team would be up in its heyday. The Patriots would be up, 24 points in the fourth quarter, and he'd be playing. But Bill Belichick, caveman football, defensive guy, he would have him in the game. Defensive coaches have a different mindset about having the quarterback and how they treat the quarterback than offensive coaches. I would say to you, if Dan Quinn was an offensive coach, he might have had a different mindset last night in the moment rather than the next day.
Armando, before you go, we are at as close as we're going to get to a halfway point here. Basically, every team has either played 8 or 9 games. We've had enough time to get some kind of a handle on these teams. Although this year, every time I think I know something about a team, I'm proven wrong the following week. There are a lot of teams that seem to me, compared to a normal year in the NFL, it seems like there are a lot of teams that you could make a case that they could win their conference realistically in both conferences. Who for you at this point are the real Super Bowl contenders, and are there any pretenders that you would want to call out that look like they might be Super Bowl possible, but you think it's an illusion?
Well, I'm going to get ripped for this. Thank you so much for asking. So, going into yesterday's game, the Indianapolis Colts were 7-1, and they had the best record in the NFL, and everybody's riding their jock like they have, nailed down the next 4 Super Bowl berths for the AFC. And our colleague, Dan Dakich, kept pressing me about this, and I kept telling him, there's a phrase regarding Daniel Jones that applies, and that's regression to mean. And that's when a guy who's here comes up here, but eventually he comes back down here. And to get here, he has to go there. So yesterday we saw regression to mean by Daniel Jones. And he threw 3 interceptions, fumbled twice. It was a New York Giants Daniel Jones game. I don't believe in Daniel Jones. It would be 2 years from now, after he plays well for 2 years in a row, that I would start to believe in Daniel Jones. So there's that. You talk about a team that I don't trust. I don't trust the Colts because I don't trust Daniel Jones. Having said that, teams that are, impressive right now, look, there's nobody playing better than the Patriots. They don't have all the talent in the world. They don't have as much talent maybe as other teams, but they're balling. They are playing very well. The Bills last night, very impressive. They seem to have fixed things after 2 consecutive losses before the bye. Seattle in the NFC is a dangerous, dangerous team. They have about as good a defense in the NFL as you could ask. And as long as Sam Darnold is good, they're going to be good because they've got a good cast around him and a complete cast around him. I like the Rams. The 49ers continue to do work despite the fact that they're beat up. There are no super teams, Ricky. There just aren't this year. The Chiefs, they're not a super team. I thought that they were, on the advance, and then last night they suffered a setback. There's not a team that is above the entire fray. And until and unless someone identifies themselves in that, be careful for the Philadelphia Eagles, because to be the man, you got to beat the man, and they're the man as the defending Super Bowl champions.
Woo! And there it is. And those are the words of Armando Salguero. Armando, always a pleasure having you on, my friend. Look forward to seeing you next time.
All right, Rick. Thank you.
Great stuff, as always, from Armando Salguero. And Ronnie, that Jaden Daniels injury, hard to look at. That one goes immediately into the pantheon of. Oh, really?
Oh no! You don't know this? Wait, you don't know this about me? I could watch. You want to
watch it right now in real time?
No,
react.
Nope. I could watch somebody get shot. I could watch somebody. I can watch. I cannot watch Broken Bones. Broken Bones. Can't do it. I won't do it. I'll never see that.
Well, he didn't break a bone, so you're good. He didn't break a bone.
I understand.
I don't even know what the ligament situation is.
I can't see limbs.
Could play in a couple of weeks, theoretically.
Yeah.
According to Armando.
I can't see limbs or appendages going in directions that they shouldn't. So yeah, no, I didn't see it. I won't see it.
It'd be great content if you just watch it right now on your phone, and then we could just see you react.
Well, I can tell you. Well, I'll just do it. I'll pretend. But
okay. Because acting's easy.
Acting's super easy.
It was almost. I felt like you really saw it. That's how good that was, Ron. All right. Well, look, the NFL slate was certainly not the only football being played this weekend. We saw a lot of college football action, and we saw a historic moment take place at Ohio Stadium as our own international streaming star Ronnie T-shirts and P.A. Jared met for the first time in person. Probably talking about what a punk that kid with you is. Who's the Penn State kid? Was it magic? For you guys?
No.
I mean, you guys have become real buddies. People don't know, maybe, but you guys, every time when I come in and sit down for the show, you guys are sitting in here talking. You have become quite good friends over the course of this program.
Yeah, and no, it was nice to meet him. He got to meet Tyler and Lori. And, because it's almost like he knows them too, because I talk about him so much. So he got to meet them. Actually, I think Tyler was the one taking the video, wasn't she, Jared?
Did he get Tyler's phone number?
They did. And
I think he's son-in-law material as far as I'm concerned.
You guys are always trying to do that.
I mean, it's a Chicago, New York thing's going to make it really hard. So I don't know if it's going to work out. How did I end up holding the T-shirt that you got in my hand? I didn't even realize that I had it. I was waving it around when I was talking in that video. Jared and I actually talked about something when we were there. So that was the fourth time I had been to a football game this fall where Big Noon Kickoff was. And so I asked Jared, I said, why are we not getting special treatment? Like Fox? And neither one of us is getting special treatment. I mean, we should have sideline passes or something. And Jared ended up with a T-shirt. Like he got a T-shirt.
Well, I got a T-shirt from Gronk. He was throwing them up, or the cannon was pulling them out, whatever. And I'm not the tallest guy in the world, so I have never been able to get a shirt before. So the fact that I at least got that as a souvenir. Look, it was an awful game, which I was expecting, but. Something good came out of it. I was able to catch a shirt for the first time.
Game. Yeah. Phenomenal game.
You're like John Baines, just catching shit that goes into the crowd.
I've been John Baines of Fox T-shirts.
I've been to so many Penn State games, basketball games too, where they always put those out. I've been to some Knicks games. I've been to a good amount of sports games in my day, and never was able to catch a shirt. So shout out to Big Noon that I finally got my first one. Maybe next time I'm on the show, I'll.
So Ricky, so the plan was, as everybody knows, we were supposed to go out together Friday night, but things kind of went sideways because Jared, as he let me know, unless he was just lying to me because he didn't want to meet me out, it went from him and four of his friends.
You struck him as weird. This is what probably happened, Ron. I was like, oh God. This isn't gonna be cool after all.
Nah, he ended up doing something with a huge group of people, and so. As I told him, I said, dude, if we're not meeting by 9:30, I'm not coming out. And he ended up going to the place that we were going to meet at what, Jared, like 12:30?
12:15, 12:30 at night, and it was fucking awful. I have never had a worse experience at a bar. It took me 15 minutes to get from the bathroom to where we were, which was not very far. Ron, you would have hated it. I'm honestly glad the way that we did meet, even though it was brief, it was great. The way that we did it was probably the best way that we could have, because holy shit, that was miserable. You would have hated it. I mean, if I went at 9:30, maybe that would have, been a good time, but it wasn't.
No, I'm glad. Yeah. So Jared was the final piece for me of everybody on the kind of the Ricky Cobb show family that I actually physically haven't met yet. So that was nice. Jared, real quick, take 30 seconds because he shared with me his travel day on Friday, and I was like, whoa, okay. Yeah, you got to share that on the air.
It was quite interesting. So we get in the air. It's an hour and a half flight. About 40 minutes or so in, I hear on the loudspeakers, does anyone have any aspirin? I didn't think anything of it, so I went along with watching my show. 10 minutes later.
Yeah, exactly, Ricky.
No, you're right. Someone did have a heart attack, and we had to make an emergency landing in Pittsburgh. I didn't get to see anyone or anything. It was all the way in front of the plane. I was all the way in the back. A bunch of people had to get out to make space. So I have no idea. Hopefully this woman is all right. But pretty serious thing. We had to stop for an hour because all the flight attendants were saying that it's all the symptoms of a heart attack. So hopefully everything's all right. But yeah, obviously we were able to get there, and Ron and I were able to meet for the first time. But yeah, crazy stuff. But Ron and I actually weren't the only two members of the crew here that got to see each other over the weekend. Molly sent me this a couple hours ago, and I think it's one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen. This is their Halloween costume. This is Molly and Tyler from Nashville, the tech team. And Molly is Ricky, and Tyler is Ronnie. Oh my
God, I love it.
Tyler, I don't love the shirt.
Molly is crushing it. That is too realistic. That is almost too realistic, Molly.
You guys win Halloween.
Are either of them there and able to speak on the air? Or are we not able to do that right now, Jared?
Tyler is not.
I just want to know how they explain this to people. Like they're like, oh, we're the guy, we're Ricky Cobb and Ronnie t-shirts, and I have to imagine everybody went, huh?
They didn't. This is what they went as, and this is what everyone just saw, and who knows what happened after
I wonder, did anybody ask Tyler what he was packing in those jeans?
Being awesome.
Anybody ask Tyler what he's packing in those jeans?
Hopefully not.
He carried a roll of certs. I'm being told, Ron.
Oh, that's so fantastic.
That's fantastic. That makes my day. That makes my day. You guys absolutely crushed it.
Ricky, real quick.
We love the Nashville team.
You do see that it's a fake joint that Molly's holding in her hand.
But Ricky,
oh my God, I need that picture. My girlfriend. Hopefully she's watching this right now.
But Ricky, I want you to look. I want you to look at the detail here.
It's looking real good. I'll tell you that. I wish.
Ricky, look at the detail. Look at her shoes. She's wearing Chuck Taylors like you do.
She got the whole thing.
I know. I mean, she completely crushed it. Like head to toe, nailed it. That's fantastic.
Absolutely amazing.
That's it. We unfortunately we still have show to go but I can tell you nothing that we have left is going to rise up to that. But Ronnie, I give you a fighting chance because I know your track record when I tilt my head and say, "What the fuck, Ron?"
Today's stories ended up kind of being a theme that I hadn't planned, but I realized there was a massive connection. So a lot of time in life, you're expecting one thing and you get another. It happens all the time.
Boy, isn't that the truth?
It could be as simple as being at brunch, and you think that you're about to take a drink of milk and you aren't paying attention. You pick up the orange juice, and there's that your brain just kind of short circuits. So the first story is a food manufacturer called Teasdale sent out a taco dinner kit that had to be recalled because instead of taco seasoning being in the kit, it was packets of cocoa mix. And my first thought was, well, what's the problem? We could just make a nice mole, right? Because chocolate's part of mole. Like this would be perfect. But it turns out there's dairy in the cocoa mix, and that can cause problems with people that are allergic to dairy. So this is our first story. Is somebody's all excited? It's Tuesday. It's
lactose
Tuesday.
Intolerant, just ruining it for everybody.
Right, but just imagine it's Tuesday, and you think you're having tacos, and whoever's making the dinner, they're ready, and then the next thing you know, there's no taco seasoning. So it'd be a bit
Ron,
of a.
This makes me think of a story, and shout out to my 17-year-old daughter on this one. This is going back. I don't know how many years ago this has been. Probably at least 5, maybe 5, 6, 7 years. She was younger. She likes to drink water, and which is great, right? It's healthy and whatever.
Kind of weird.
When we go to the grocery, she keeps a water jug, in the refrigerator, and she gets fresh water that way. She doesn't like tap water. It's got like aftertaste or whatever. So one day she wanted water. And I went and I reached and I grabbed the water jug and I poured it out for her. I don't know if I was on the phone, if I was distracted with something else, but I poured out and she goes to take a drink and I had poured her a cup of vinegar.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I just poured her like 16 ounces of vinegar in a cup.
Did she take a big old gulp
expecting water? No, she just did like an immediate spit take. Wait, in a television show or something.
I think you buried the lead here. You keep vinegar in the refrigerator?
It was probably my ex-wife. It wasn't in the refrigerator. It was on the counter. But somehow, I thought it was, whatever. Yeah. But anyway, I never have vinegar. I have no need for vinegar. You know what I mean? So, if you come over to
what if you have a fish fry? What if you have a fish fry?
Do you have vinegar? Well, see, there you go. Exactly. I'm not prepared for it. Pants completely around my ankles if there's a fish fry. So but I like living on the edge. I don't need a net. I'm just on that tightrope like Carl Walenda.
So keeping
what the
with
fuck else is going on, Ron?
No, so we're gonna stay with this theme. All right. Expectations.
Okay. All right. Excellent.
Something else happens. So a woman in Hopkinsville,
tell me about it.
Kentucky. Are you familiar with Hopkinsville, Kentucky?
I am. Okay. I sure am.
Okay. So it's in Christian County. A woman placed an order online for some medicine, as a lot of people nowadays do. And my assumption is she did what I do. Ricky, I don't necessarily look at the address if I'm expecting something. I know I'm getting a box, so I get it. I pull out my utility knife, open it, boom, boom, boom.
Oh my God!
So instead of opening it and getting
Rod.
instead of opening it to get the medicine, there were arms and fingers.
Oh my God! Well. Oh, so what was the purpose of there being arms and fingers in the mail?
So
the mail's arms and fingers.
So she called the court. So she ended up getting in touch with the coroner in Christian County, and he came out and he took everything and got it to the morgue, and then the courier company took them. So they do use couriers
they send human remains through the mail
because they could be for research purposes. It could be for research purposes. Things like that. And so it just ended
in a Target box. Think about that. You live your fucking life out. Try to be a good person. Laugh, cry, experience sadness, sorrow, tragedy, joy. You see your children born. You watch your parents die. You go through everything and you end up in a fucking Target box on some lady's porch when it's all done. That's how it ends. In a fucking Target box on some woman's porch who's fucking horrified to find your fingers.
Could you imagine? So just think about the horror that your daughter faced when she took that taste of vinegar with the expectation of water. So think about you're just opening up that box because you're getting out your pills or your vitamins that you ordered, and instead you've got an arm and fingers.
Next thing you know, next thing you know, you've got a finger in your hand like a chicken tender, and you didn't even realize what was going on. I don't know. Are they going to reimburse her for her therapist bills for the rest of her life if she tries to process this?
Yeah, definitely.
Get a lawyer, lady. Get a lawyer is what I would say. Let's take a look at our picks, Ron, because we need to catch up on where we stand in our season-long battle to avoid wearing Angel Reese merch.
I mean, I have to have the Cowboys win tonight. So Ricky, the absolute only pick that I got right with this weekend was that you were wrong about the New Orleans pick. That's the only one that I got right.
Yeah,
like I was terrible this weekend.
You were right about that. Well, I was barely better, and I might not be better at all by the time the Cowboys game is over, Ron. So that's the good news for you. If you win tonight, you're going to be 18-18, and you will remain a game ahead of me. And if you lose tonight, we'll be tied at a shitty record of 17-19. It's not going as well this year for either one of us.
I feel like we're just doing a public service announcement every week. Don't bet. Do not bet. It's stupid. It's dumb, and you can't get it right. Don't do it.
Bet against us. And I didn't do well with my money bets.
If you bet against us, you'd be 500. Just if you bet against us, you'd be 500. That's the whole point. Like this is you can't win.
There are no winners when it comes to gambling. Yes, no, you can't.
Well,
you can't win. There's like 4 people in the history of the world that have made money from gambling.
Yep.
That weren't in the mafia.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So let's go to poll replies, Ron. See what folks are saying. Onion rings. Just laying a beat down on poodles. Onion rings, we can now confirm, are roughly 20 times more popular than poodles.
God, I hope we have a comment from somebody that picked poodles.
Research that I'm doing. I hope somebody's upset that Pookie
there's my stack. There's my stack, Ricky.
Treated this way. That looks like a Red Robin style.
Yeah, but it's the tower. Right, it's the tower I was talking about.
The Moops saying a towering stack of crispy onion rings. That does things to me. Steve says onion rings, but only if they're in the red basket at every bowling alley. Thank you, Steve. 200% better when they're served in the red basket. Joel Squire says big boy onion rings to be exact. Well, we don't have. Is he talking about big boy like the
Bob's
restaurant?
Big Boy? Yeah, Bob's Big Boy.
Bob's Big Boy or whatever?
Yeah.
Cool Hand Luke says food always wins unless sex is involved. And if you're living right, you might even be able to combine both.
Hey, there's a Seinfeld episode about
I'm
that.
Hungry like the wolf. Well, there you know. Mark Clark says that he just wants to reignite the fight talk between Ricky Cobb and Duran Duran. It is true that I once almost came to blows with Duran Duran, but we managed to work things out, and diplomacy between myself and Duran Duran has been good ever since. Hope to keep it that way. I love those guys. They finished second in today's poll, by the way. It's officially Patriot Awards week at last, and we're excited to finally announce a few special guests that'll be joining us Thursday right in New York City for the most patriotic award show on television. Country music star Jason Aldean will be there with his wife Brittany, and they'll be joined by Jesse Waters in presenting Erica Kirk with the first ever Charlie Kirk Legacy Award. Jason Aldean will also be performing live some of the many surprises that are in store for you this year. Can't wait for you to join us for an incredible evening honoring true American patriots. We'll have more special guests to share soon. Stay tuned for that, but if you haven't gotten your ticket yet, there is still time. Still some left at foxnation.com/Patriot Awards. If you plan on tuning in from home, you can watch it this Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on foxnation.com. You don't want to miss it. And with that, I give my thanks to Ronnie T-shirts, to Armando Salguero, to Molly and Tyler and Colin and everybody in Nashville. Extra slow golf clap of admiration on the Halloween costumes. Molly absolutely crushed going out there and looking like me. God bless her. My thanks as well to P.A. Jarrett and producer Tim, but most of all, I thank you, sweet bastards, because you're the reason I do this. You're the reason I'm here, and I love you guys. So don't miss anything on the Ricky Cobb Show channel on YouTube. Make sure that you head over there. Give us a subscribe if you haven't done that yet. And we will be we'll be back next time when we will tee it high. And you know that we will damn sure let it fly on the next episode of the Ricky Cobb Show.